Hello, welcome to Bob's Dungeon. My name's Bob, I'll be your host, and welcome to my second video of my June storm. This month, I'm telling some stories about some of the worst things I've seen happen in role-playing games. If I tell a story and you recognize yourself as being in this story, please don't be mad at me. I'm not using anybody's names, not trying to point anybody out, so it's just for entertainment, so bear that in mind. And if you're a content creator, I invite you to join me in the storm and put out some videos of some of the worst things you've seen this month. So, anyway, when it comes to characters, they can be a sacred thing to players. And that being that they grow very attached to them. Sometimes they even grow attached to their characters even before they play them, and that's a bad thing. And, I mean, of course, you should be attached to your character to an extent, but play him a little bit first. And this story, I'm going to be talking about something that happened to me when I first started playing a character in a game. But first, I'm going to have to give a little bit of backstory to it, because this story is a final straw, and I'll explain why when I get there. And there's a lot more that was going on that helped make this the final push I needed for what I did. Anyway, back in the early 90s, Vampire the Masquerade came out with its first edition. And this is the very same book we bought in the beginning. As soon as it hit the shelves, we got it. And we played this game a lot. At one point, we were playing Vampire the Masquerade 4 or 5 nights a week. That's kind of a lot. Of course, it wasn't the same game all the time. Sometimes I would run, sometimes we had another player that ran, sometimes another player, and we had a couple of different people that run. And we had a couple of different games going. And it was a lot of fun. But after a while, you can say it's burnout if you want, I don't care. But there are things that just I got to really hate about Vampire the Masquerade. Some of the rules, some of the ways that the players played the game, actually, and that sounds weird, but what I mean by that is it got to the point where I couldn't run games the way I wanted to. We played through the first edition a lot. When second edition came out, I got that. I never got third edition, because at that point I was really over it. But every time I tried to run a game, players would be like, oh, you can't do that, because in the rule book it says that this is what happens in the storyline. And I'm like, I don't care. I'm not running their storyline. I'm running my storyline. And they wouldn't let me run my storylines. If they were playing the game, I couldn't come up with any other bad guys other than Camarilla versus Sabat, or maybe vampires versus werewolves. And that was all they wanted me to do. And for some reason, they believed that all the games were connected and happening. And they even went down the track of wanting me to let them kill another player's character who wasn't even playing the same game as them, because the games are interconnected. And I'm like, no, I'm not letting you kill somebody's character. But anyway, I'm rambling at this point, and I'm sorry, but a lot of stuff was going on, and I was really growing to hate Vampire the Masquerade. Well, one night, another one of our gamers was starting a new vampire game, and asked me to play. And I had this idea for a character, and it was a weird character. I brought it up to the game master and told him what I wanted. My character would have just awoken from torpor, and they've been in torpor for like 50 to 100 years, so they've missed out on all these these technological advances and so forth, and so everything was going to be pretty much new to them, and kind of a fish out of water story. And that was, I don't know why, but that was interesting to me at the time. And the game master thought that was great, and they had a bunch of ideas for it. So I made up the character. I started to play, and my character awakens and manages to feed, and then they come out of the building that they were in, and they're in an alleyway, and they didn't notice that one of the other player characters was hiding in this very same alleyway. And that player character was able to tell that I was a vampire and of a lower generation than them. So, my character didn't even get to say a single word in the game, didn't really get to do anything in the game, just basically came out of the building, and the other player grabs my character and diabolizes him so they can lower their own generation by 1. The game master thought that was the funniest thing they'd ever seen and told me to go ahead and make up a new character. And I looked at him and I said, no, I will not. And I never have. That was my final straw moment with the old World of Darkness. And I never played as a player character in the old World of Darkness again. Now, I continued to run it for many years after that, but I was done playing it at that point. What's the point in making up a character if the only reason you made up that character is to improve one stat by 1 on somebody else's character? And it just didn't seem right. But there was a lot of other stuff going on that was just building up for this final straw moment for me. Infighting in a party is something that's very unavoidable, and sometimes it can add some dramatic flair to a game to have the party fight. But when you have players killing other players just to improve their stats on such a pathetic level, that shouldn't be allowed. That just seems kind of defeating the purpose of playing the game. Maybe I'm just whining, I don't know. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments if you think I'm just whining. But I wasn't really attached to the character, I didn't even get a chance to say hello. So that was why I quit playing the old World of Darkness as a player character. And to me, this story is a little worse than the one I told before, because it involves players just killing each other for literally no reason. And that's just not right in the game. Sometimes players are going to kill each other in the games, but there should be a reason behind it. Or at least it be an accident. So anyway, from here on out, my next few stories are going to be even worse than this. And the last one is going to be a doozy. My second to last story is going to tell why I quit being a game master in the old World of Darkness and leaving it completely behind. So thank you for joining me at my rambling that is supposed to be a story. And hopefully you'll join me next time where we'll talk about something else. Bye.